work with it.
Well, whether you believe it or not, President Jammeh still listens to the opinion of his executive and some of the confidence he has. All right? So he doesn't just jump and say, no, we're not going to do that. He doesn't do that. Not as far as I know.
Okay.
All right? He listens. You make recommendations, he'll push back. Then you improve it, he'll push back. Then you improve it until he's happy and you're happy with the final product. And you say, yeah, run with it. If SFL comes to us and says, I want APRC's backing to run for office in 2026, we'll say, okay, well, we don't know what your position is right now. President Jammeh is our party leader, he's our chairman, he's our flag bearer. He's the one that's going to endorse it. Do you still have interest of prosecuting President Jammeh for the alleged crimes that his government committed? Or do you still want to implement the recommendations of the TRRC white paper? It's up to SFL to say, yes, I'll do it. And in which case, the executive will say to President Jammeh, the executive normally has meetings before they send recommendation, meeting resolutions to President Jammeh. Even yesterday, the executive had a meeting in the Gambia. They'll say to him, okay, SFL has come and said he wants to have engagement with us, but he still has intentions of prosecuting you for alleged crimes during your 22-year end. What do you think? We think X, Y, Z. What do you think? President Jammeh will come back and says, how are we going to empower somebody who wants to undermine us? That could be one question. He could say, okay, at least he hasn't got any background of compromising our sovereignty. He hasn't got any background of undermining the development of the nation. He hasn't got any dirty background apart from the TRRC. So therefore, although we don't like his pursuit of prosecuting me, he's a better candidate than Adama Barrow. You can go and work with it. All right? So it depends on what the members think, depends on what the executive are listening to members. President Jammeh is listening to the executive. He could turn around and say, no way. He could turn around and say, he'll still be better than Adama Barrow for Gambia. Remember what I said earlier? President Jammeh till this day thinks about Gambia like nothing he's thought about before when he was in power. He's still engaged on things that are going on in the Republic of the Gambia. He probably knows more than you and I as to what was going on, because he's still got very good people who are good to him and good friends of him working in the current administration. All right? So it's probably very well informed, more informed than you and I. So it all depends on what SFL is going to do. That's why I said, for us to succeed as a nation, we have to find a way to overcome our differences in the past. If we carry on fighting, all right, we will carry on fighting, and Adama Barrow will capitalize on this inter-party fight and then win for the next time, or rig it, and we can't do anything about it. But when parties come together, the win or the moral uplift that we're going to get by all parties coming together to remove him, that will create a psychological defeat for Adama Barrow to start with. And the election swing will be so huge, no amount of rigging is going to save him.
Yeah.
But if he's there as an individual, yeah, come in.
What I want to ask is, don't you think this APRC of North Alliance align themselves with former president, and then, as you mentioned, most of the decisions that you take are not independently taken. It's more of considering his opinion and what is in take before you finalize. Don't you think that's going to affect you in terms of winning votes in the country? Because so many people have tested the 22 years of APRC. They have their own opinions, and they're like, okay, do we want to go back to that system? Because they'll be like, if we should vote another APRC government, it's more of like voting former President Yahya Jammeh back to power again, because most of the commands are going to come from him.
Yeah, well, that's where the candidate comes in now. Let's suppose President Jammeh comes back, but he doesn't want to run. Let's suppose he comes back and wants to run. All right? And if he comes back today, I am sure there'll be a massive swing of people who would want to vote for President Jammeh. Trust me, if the options are only two, President Jammeh or Adama Barrow, Barrow will be defeated mercilessly. He'll be on the ground. He won't know what floored him. All right? But let's move from that point now. Whether if APRC continues to side with President Jammeh, it's going to affect our appeal to the public. No, it depends on the candidate we have. Even if President Jammeh comes back now and wants to run in 2026, his policies have to be different. He will not be the same person. President Jammeh has gone through education over the last 8 years, probably like at no time in his existence. He would have learned the character of Gambian people. He would have learned that the Gambian that shouted and wanted to make you king will be the Gambian that will pick up the knife the next second I want to stab you on your back.
Correct.
Yeah? He's seen so many people ripple out, dissipate, evaporate from the APRC totally as soon as he left power. Those are the same people who turned against him and said, oh, he gave me executive power to do this. He gave me executive power to do that, even when they never actually had any conversation with President Jammeh, as they confirmed the TRRC. So for me personally, all it takes is President Jammeh coming back and said, I'm going to refresh my manifesto, my agenda. My government is totally going to be different. And you know what? I have written something in our manifesto, which I don't know whether I should share it, because somebody told me when you share your ideas with Gambians, they copy it and put it in their manifesto.
That's true.
So
that's what they say. I don't know.
I'll give you a gist of it.
Look, I don't know what
Right now, the Gambia Police Force, the Army, they don't have an external watchdog. All right? That's one of the recommendations I made. A watchdog for the police and a watchdog for the army. When recommendations are made by a commission into a police, an activity that is suspected to be illegal, carried out by the police or the army, that watchdog should ensure that's implemented to the letter. Any complaints against those institutions will be investigated by that watchdog, and recommendations will be implemented or supplied by that watchdog, and the government should implement them. So we need to have a police watchdog. We need to have an army watchdog. We have an ombudsman. But how effective is an ombudsman when people complain to the ombudsman? The ombudsman knows people have been illegally dismissed by the government of Adama Barrow because they worked for the government of President Jammeh, and the ombudsman does nothing about it.
Yeah.
So some of
my mom always told me never to depend on any man. Yeah, mine told me not to depend on.
So sorry about that, guys. So my thing is, so those are some of the recommendations that I put in our manifesto, because we thought we were going to contest in 2021, but some people downed their tools and went elsewhere. All right?
I think you guys copied it from us, because we talked about that here on the chamber. We had a segment.
Who are you? Who are you?
Well,
Are you Sobea or UDP or NPP?
No. We're independent candidates, free thinkers.
Oh, okay.
We give ideas to
you know what? It's good for ideas to align. So now that I'm pleased that somebody was thinking the same, I'm very happy that we're thinking in the same line. We have to have
we talked about it as well, even in the healthcare, because there is malpractices that happen in the healthcare, and you have nowhere to report them usually. So that is what we talked about. But just to close the chapter
and also Pura is not acting. We've seen Pura basically spineless, basically. All right, but yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. So to close the chapter of coalitions and 2026, it is fair to say, Sobe, you have nothing to be afraid of. You should not be scared to approach APRC for a coalition. Because as Tamba has said, the doors are open. And it just has to be on the terms that you guys agree on. So, So to close that chapter and move on to something very, if, let's say, it has a little bit to do with coalition, but this one is mainly NPP. Let's say if Adama Barrow comes out and announce or put something on paper and said, I will respect the constitutional immunity in the 1997 constitution that is been guaranteed for Yahya Jammeh and his fellows, the likes of Toure and Singate. Will this be an avenue for the breakaway to just say, you know what, this is a good deal. We'll finally join NPP, regardless of the fact that Adama Barrow's economic policies have ruled in Gambia, and he has put Gambia in a basically a situation in a dire situation.
Yeah.
Because there's high cost of living, record massive inflation.
Yeah.
Would you guys put all that aside and say, you know what, we'll go?
Yeah. So the question is, again, it'll go back to what do the members of APRC think? What are they telling their executive? What is the executive thinking about? What are they telling President Jammeh? All right? So it's not like President Jammeh would say, no, I don't want Adama Barrow. But I can tell you one thing, and I'll repeat it again. If Gambia doesn't come first, and Gambia, we heard President Jammeh say many times that Gambia will not be colonized twice. And he said that because of what he saw as Senegal colonizing Gambia under the Confederation of 1989.
80-something, yeah.
Yeah? President Jammeh said Gambia will not be colonized twice. So if Adama Barrow is still intending to give our security to Senegal, giving our waters for Senegal to administer, giving our land for Senegal to administer, rerouting our internet to Senegal, rerouting our energy sector to Senegal, we are vulnerable to several shocks. To a point where any little disagreement we have with Senegal, and I think that disagreement is coming. I don't want us to go into conflict with Senegal because apart from the colonial boundary drawn, we are the same with Senegal. But I can tell you for a fact that Gambian Senegalese oil rig near the Gambia, I don't trust it one bit. I think that will create a source of conflict if Senegal doesn't reach an agreement with the Gambia in terms of drilling that well near the Gambian border. All right? But that's a topic for another day. So President Jammeh could turn around and say, okay, Barrow, what are you going to do about the Gambia? Are you going to kick out Senegalese army? Barrow will say no. Are you going to get rid of Senegalese bodyguards? Because today, Senegal knows when Adama Barrow's gone to his first wife to spend the night. Senegal knows when Adama Barrow gone to his second wife to spend the night. If Adama Barrow is snoring in his sleep, Senegal knows straight away. All right?
What your father did was
Are we going to continue that process of giving up all our state secrets? Are we going to continue to allow Senegal to take away our 30 million euros a year cashew trade? Are we going to continue to allow Senegal to undermine our seaport, our airport, our tourism, and every sector that was once viable under President Jammeh? Barrow said tourism is booming. I saw people, semesters the other day, the bombsters, we call them bombsters, people at the beach saying, this is the worst tourist season ever since President Jammeh left.
I'll be more careful.
All right?
But I am 18.
So
That, Mom?
it depends on what Barrow wants to do. But we know Barrow doesn't fulfill
Looks nothing like my dad.
his promises. He reneged on the 3-year promise. When they came as a coalition government, they had about 12 points that they wanted to implement, which included security sector reform, civil service reform, anti-corruption commission, and the lot. All right? The only one he implemented out of that is the National Human Rights Commission. But even the National Human Rights Commission, what they tell him to do, he doesn't do it. He ignores it. Doesn't implement it. All right? So for me, it depends on when the conversation is had. What did Adama Barrow come to the table with? What did Essa Faal come to the table with? What did Ousainou Darboe come to the table with? Mama Kandeh made it clear, if he won the election in 2021, President Jammeh, it depends on when President Jammeh wanted to come. He'll come back. If anybody had anything to take up against President Jammeh, by all means, you can take up whatever legal action you want to take.
You can use the courts, yeah.
But he's a Gambian citizen. No nation
Are they cool?
turns their citizen back. There's only one history of a child that's born and bred in a country who's been refused their citizenship. Since I was born, out of all the books I read, it's only that girl in the United Kingdom who went to ISIS in Syria and came back, and the United Kingdom stripped her of her citizenship. And that's illegal. That should never happen. It's against the UN conventions or charter. Nobody should be citizenless. Even if our parents came from Bangladesh, she's never been there. She's not a citizen of Bangladesh. If you have problems with her under terrorism offenses, charge her for it. You can't strip her of her citizenship. So no nation turns their citizen away, no matter what crimes they are accused of or they committed. So President, if you have problems with President Jammeh, if he flies to Gambia tomorrow, if you want to arrest him because he ate somebody's biscuit, You arrest him and charge him for it. But you cannot say, you're not going to come back to Gambia. No, he can come back to Gambia. He's a Gambian citizen. So it depends on what is on the table at the time of the conversation. If Adama Barrow suddenly thinks, okay, yeah, that's fine. I can bring you in. You give me recommendations as to what we're going to do. In fact, we do these appointments before the election. We'll do this. We'll kick Senegalese out. We'll redraw some of the stuff that happened under me. I'm ready to change completely.
Come on, everyone out the party.
Who knows?
You heard. Come on.
We will never say no to anything in politics because 1 week is a long week in politics. Many things can change.
So sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we keep out. You know what? The good thing about us is our doors are always open, and President Jammeh will listen. He might say, "Oh, I don't want to talk to that fool," but he will listen first to what you have to say. He's a very good listener, but he always pushes back. Sometimes he's testing you to see how far you can go, what your ability is on certain things. But he listens all the time. I can tell you that now.
And he's not. He's not scared of standing trial or explaining.
Is he
himself.
listening to the interview today? Just to
Don't
make
get
sure.
there yet. Don't
He's
get there
probably
yet.
listening to it, and he'll probably hear everything that's said here today, and you better believe that. You know what? As Savage said, President Jammeh is a fearless individual. And I think all his peers know that. All the people who worked with him, from the army to government, he doesn't fear anything. People say, "Oh, President Jammeh left because he's afraid of a comic." A comic never won a war before.
That was a long time ago.
All right?
All good now.
What President Jammeh saw was, okay, because of me, all this is going to happen. There'll be war in the Gambia. And he stood the risk of destroying everything he did in 22 years. And all Gambians agree, when it came to development, he was brilliant. He did what he could in that period. I think he could have done a lot more. But you know what? Sometimes, even when I get a distinction on the paper, I think, why did I get 90%? Why couldn't I get 100%?
Yeah, maybe you should get more.
Yeah, you want to get better. But he did what he could, considering we got very little resources. Now, sometimes it almost looks like God brought Adama Barrow so that we know what we had before. Because look at what Barrow's doing. Barrow has had so much money in his first 5 years than President Jammeh had in his entire existence.
Your ex-wife keeps calling.
But what did Adama Barrow do?
It's the 5th time.
Completing President Jammeh's projects and nothing else. All right?
Now, I want to ask a question about his assets.
Of course.
There is rumor that we're not going to be. We're not going to take too much time on the assets, but like I just want to hear your opinion on this. There's rumor going around that Adama Barrow and his friends and some of the, let's say, the legal minded people, the likes of the former Justice Minister, what's his name again, Batamedu, and his friends, use the legal loophole, including Talib Small, to basically share some of his assets among themselves. In the disguise of auction, that they've auctioned the assets and stuff like that. How does a president? I mean, he does say that he has a lot, but anyway, and there's rumor that he has a lot of money and stuff like that. But how does he feel knowing that he left all this for Gambians, and he left Kanilai Family Farm? They used to make bread and sell it back to Gambians at a lower price. He left the Farato farm full of cows and so many things that Gambian people or the community of Farato could benefit from. And he left so many other stuff. And all that just went and like vanished from one day. How does he feel?
He feels bad about it. He feels aggrieved, massively aggrieved. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example. Because President Jammeh is passionate about farming. Even his people, when he was in the army, his colleagues will say he used to have a farm. And he used to harvest some of it and give it to people in Banjul, like some of the crops. All right? He's passionate about farming. Now, unfortunately, when Coalition 2016 came to power, as I said before, they were hungry, they were angry, they were greedy, they wanted everything for themselves. What they didn't put into perspective is, okay, Kanilai Family Farm, although it says Kanilai Family Farm, it can continue running as a state enterprise to keep the jobs, to give us quality bread, because Kanilai Family Farm took the quality of Senfur from something that had no filling inside to suddenly something that had filling inside. It forced the other bread bakers to improve the quality of sent food to put filling inside of it.
It's been 10 years
All right?
since I've seen it.
It was not as full as the tapalapa, but it was fuller than it used to be.
Mother disappeared like
Now, source of employment, ruined.
Maybe there's something with her
All
we
right?
don't know about.
Quality food, ruined. Food sustainability that we were marching rapidly towards, ruined. Because of what? It was affiliated with President Jammeh. Tractors, the same. There were increasing productivity in the Gambia. Gambian farmers were getting well off. They were getting absolutely well off because of the tariffs that President Jammeh put in place to stop the importation of agricultural products that are already being produced in Gambian markets to adequate quantities. Barrow government, via Senegal's advice, removed 3 of them straight away: onions, Irish potatoes, and I think tomatoes. All right? They removed them straight away. So what you people needed to understand is, although it says Kanilai Family Farm, although people are saying, and I'll give you an example of why, some of the items were not in President Jammeh's name, they were in Gambia's name, Savvy. But they went and tampered with the title because they wanted to steal it and sell it and make money or share it between their family members. I'll come to it in a minute. Especially the aircraft. If I forget the aircraft, remind me.
Sure.
There's a massive scandal that's gone on underneath regarding how they sold the aircraft. I'm not blaming the person who bought them because they bought it legally. All right? But the aircraft were in Gambia's name. They said it was Jammeh's name and they wanted to sell it. But let me go back to the employment part. Kanilai Family Farm, quality food, food sustainability, employment decimated. All right? Jammeh's livestock, employment, income, food sustainability decimated. All right? Tractors, productivity, food sustainability, employment.
Okay.
This to do.
Gentlemen, huh?
Because chartering a flight was very expensive if you want an executive flight. All right?
They named it the G-Spot?
So if you want to travel like Adama Barrow, Daje, everywhere he goes, yeah? He went to Congo to go and see his friend.
Do you have
All right?
Where?
Look, it's
If
not
you want to
my
fly
place.
every
I'm not
time
trying
on
to
chartered
be
flight,
branded,
it's
you
very
know?
expensive. But if you have your own flight that the nation owns,
I don't belong to you.
You're not
there are
exaggerating.
3 reasons why in every nation must own aircraft. All
Why
right?
don't we brand you then?
It's easier and cheaper to hire a pilot to fly you from Gambia on national aircraft to Turkey and back. All right?
You're gonna stay still.
When you own the aircraft. It's the same thing as owning your embassy buildings overseas, which President Jammeh started by buying embassy buildings for the Gambia to save money, plus it's an investment in assets for the Gambia. Why did
That's
they
correct.
say Gambia's embassy in Washington is in Jammeh's name? Why? Because for
They
that
wanted to sell
one,
it.
they're benefiting from it by staying in that embassy building, all right? So now, you know what they did to the aircraft? They wanted to sell it to individuals, and they said, no, the aircraft is in Germany for maintenance, or Switzerland, one of these nations. I think it was Germany, for maintenance. Gambia government sent it here for maintenance, all right? So the parts are here for maintenance, and they belong to Gambia government. They're not in Germany. So therefore, we're not going to dispose of the parts of the aircraft to anybody, because they belong to the Gambian state. So the airport was stuck. They couldn't sell the aircraft. They were the last assets that they sold out of the conspicuous ones, the ones that everybody can see. Okay?
Right.
So what they did was they went and tampered with the title of the aircraft to make it look like it was Jammeh in Jammeh's name before they could sell them.
It's not to your liking, my lord.
They took state property,
Lion.
about $500 million of Gambia's taxpayers, and flogged it at a giveaway price, 3 aircraft.
Vomit worthy. I haven't eaten anything the whole trip.
What these
College
people
kids probably don't
did,
even have a
Savage,
sandwich in the fridge.
it's beyond criminal.
Yeah, it's criminal.
Exactly what I thought.
It's criminal. A lot of the items were not even in Jammeh's name. We say, oh, Jammeh owned it, because if they didn't say they belong to Jammeh, they
They won't
couldn't
be able to
dispose
sell
them
it
off.
because they were selling state assets.
This is my
Yeah.
remedy.
Even the tent at State House, it wasn't in Jammeh's name. It was bought for the state. So when Jammeh gets big gatherings at State House, instead of sitting in the official building, they can go to the tent and have the meetings. They were constructed for the state. They said it was Jammeh stole the money from Central Bank and bought that tent. Today,
it's
Morton
getting late.
Daje is using it as his tribal meeting ground.
You're leaving.
Yeah?
More
How is that Jammeh? So why didn't they dismantle it and sell it?
You want me to call a taxi?
Yeah? Why didn't they dismantle the State House tent and sell it? Who is it benefiting now? Is it not the state that's benefiting from it? The rural electricity, they said Jammeh stole 1 billion from Social Security. Rural water supply, rural electricity, rural internet supply, all came from that 1 billion. But they said, oh, Jammeh stole it. Where did he steal it? The compensation of Ghanaian migrants that died in the Gambia came from that 1 billion as well. $500,000 was used to compensate, or is it $250,000, compensate Ghanaian families or their survivors.
This is business class.
You see what I'm saying? So most of these items, they're saying 281 landed properties, they're not all in Jammeh's name. Some of them were in Kanilai Family Farm's name. Some of them were in Gambia government's name. They were not transferred to Jammeh's name. They took them, shared them between themselves. They said they sold them. Nobody's seen the money. The commission said they were auctioning material. Savage, can you show me one screenshot of an advert of the auction of Jammeh's assets? One screenshot.
I can't, and that is one of the reasons myself, and this is my opinion, I think what happened, and I will agree with you on the terms, the language you use, is beyond criminal. They have, and people are asking in the comments names. I would be bold enough to say the former Justice Minister of the Gambia,
and his latest wife, were involved in it.
Yes, because at the time of disposal of all this stuff, he was the Justice Minister. Therefore, all the legal documents, he would be privy to it, and he would have to participate and have his signature on it. And this includes as well all the commissioners, Ami Bensouda, and all of them. They all participated in this. They conspired against Gambians and destroyed so many benefits Gambians had in the past. So I would say it. I would say it because
I know, Jenna, but I'm not.
Seize them from President Jammeh. They're not anybody's material now, it's government material.
They're owned by the state.
Yeah, they're owned by the state. How can you dispose of government material without going through tenders, without going through adverts, without going through auctions?
And your famous wealthy people as well in the Gambia, the likes of Mohamed Jah and all this. Yes, I'm not going to blame them for buying stuff, but they know what they were buying, and they know that they're buying stuff that belongs to Gambians. So they also participated in basically destroying the lives of ordinary Gambians. If you have purchased into it, you're a criminal.
Yeah, but if you get Hamidou Jah or Hamidou Jah who bought the bus, the tour bus that belongs to the state, and the Rolls Royces that disappeared, and the Range Rovers that disappeared. The Range Rover that did one journey, all it had problems with was it went into a pothole and the windscreen broke.
But don't we
So Jammeh's aide said, you can't drive that car with a broken windscreen, take it back to Banjul. And it was parked since that time. Why would you buy it? If you hate Jammeh that much, why would you have something that reminds you of Jammeh all the time?
The guy who gave it to me didn't tell me much.
Yeah? So these
They all
people,
want to be Jammeh.
one day it'll all become clear. One day it'll all become clear. And that day will come. So this is why I keep saying, if I'm angry with UDP for doing that to Gambian people, because UDP was the dominant factor in coalition 2016, all right? Ousainou Darboe said he set up the commissions. Barrow said no. Ousainou Darboe is not telling the truth. I set them up. Ousainou Darboe said, Barrow, no, you are not telling the truth. I set them up. So therefore, we can all agree that the UDP enabled all of this that's happening today. And if we go to our constitution, it's made it clear that you cannot set a commission to investigate an ex-president or a serving president. They ignored all of that. And that's the problem we have now. That's why our appeals court has a reason why it told the Ministry of Justice that you had no right to sell Jammeh's properties. They have a reason for it. So where are the materials they sold? How are they going to recover them?
They're gone.
They're gone.
That's
They
why
can't
he.
recover them.
That's why he left. That's why.
That's why he ran away. He knew. He knew. And his latest wife that he married was part of the people he tasked to dispose of Jammeh's assets, according to insiders at Ministry of Justice.
It was for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, my second last question for you, Mr. Tamba, would be. This might be a little bit emotional. I'm not sure how close you are with Yaya Jammeh, but in you guys' conversation or time spent together, has Yaya Jammeh ever disclosed anything he had regret during his tenure as a head of state in the Gambia for 22 years?
Well, he hasn't sort of expressed regret for anything he did or didn't do. He did explain some of the things he did, some of the actions he took on various matters. Lots of stuff. I learned so much from him. But there was absolutely no regret for some of this stuff. In fact, he was happy with the way he clamped down on insecurities that he faced, the nation faced, when he was in power. He was happy at the time, man, woman, young or old, black or white, you could walk every inch of Gambian soil at 3 a.m. and you were safe. All right? The same cannot be said today. Now, 8 p.m. on Gambian soil, many vulnerable sections of our community, children and women, don't go out anymore. Our nighttime economy is kind of dwindled to a point where it's almost, unless you're selling Dibi or Afra or whatever, you're afraid to go out in the streets, definitely not with valuables. Yesteryear, that was okay. So it's not so much about regret. Some of the accusations that were made against him, he spoke about, they were false, explained what actually happened. So in terms of regret, no. In terms of whether he could have done certain things differently, yes, abundantly. Explained that a few times I could have done this, I could have done X, Y, Z, or I wasn't aware of that person that's talking. I didn't know that's what they did. But even when he was in power, he did say that to people publicly. When they said to him, oh, you ordered the arrest and jailing of my husband, he'll say, no, I didn't. Where's your husband? They say he's in jail. And then he'll tell his aides to go and free the husband or the wife or whoever straight away. And he regretted that people around him were doing these things. All right? But as a president, the buck always stops with you. That doesn't mean you're aware of every single thing that's taking place while you're in power. You cannot concentrate on every single thing. That's why a successful president is only successful because of the good people, the majority good people that are around him. If the majority of people are around you are Keren Kafo or have no intellectual pedigree, then you fail, as Adama Barrow is now. Adama Barrow is surrounded by Keren Kafo, surrounded by ignoramuses who don't know better than him. How are you supposed to improve if a former village wrestler is your advisor, advising you on government administration? Yeah? If the village wrestler is advising you on how to have a good wrestling contest like the Fad Festival just gone in Fonye, then that's good. He's got experience in that. All right? But how is he going to advise you, a former village drummer, advising you on how to administer a trading deal? Really a good idea. How to administer an OIC contract?
I mean, yeah? we have to give chance to the drummer, the child that is growing up currently as we speak as a drummer, who probably does not see a future for themselves. They might think that, Dusano is a good example, someone they can look at.
Yeah, but then if you're a village drummer and you're advising the president, advise the president on culture stuff, village drumming stuff. Don't come out and start challenging SRFAL, telling him that SRFAL, Iteleka Chaselo defend Nunjang or SRFAL this. No, he's got no experience in how the law actually works. All right? I have my issues with SRFAL, but with many things, you will have issues, but not issues that will stop me working with SRFAL. You see what I'm saying?
I'm beginning to believe that. I'm beginning to believe that you might convince them to help APPs over here.
No. For me personally, if you know my disposition, Adama Barrow is definitely a zero chance of getting any support from me. Even 2021, I said, before President Jammeh spoke publicly, I said, if he supports the alliance with NPP, I don't know, that's a party decision. All right? I will take a back seat. I'm not going to support Adama Barrow. I said that categorically clear. If he supports Adama Barrow, the NPP coalition, I'll take a back seat. I will not campaign for Adama Barrow. I'll not post anything positive about Adama Barrow. I will not vote for Adama Barrow. I'll not attend this nomination. Nothing. You see what I'm saying? So it depends on what's on the table. It's not my decision.
Absolutely.
They will ask me for my advice. They'll ask me, most of the time they ask me for advice. I'll say, let's see what's on the table. The former executive of APS on the Fawakatuma, that's why they didn't like me, because I scrutinized stuff. I said to them, can you send me a draft of your agreement with NPP? They got stuck. They couldn't provide anything to me. I said, well, I'm not going to go by word of mouth because I've seen what Coalition 2016 did. All right? If we're going to learn from that, show me the paperwork of the preconditions you agreed with NPP. They said, oh, we can't share it because it's confidential, including somebody who is your mouthpiece and your secretary for international matters. You don't want to show me the draft agreement. Before, you showed me everything. All right? So now you're not going to show me. And they said, no, we can't show. I said, okay. So I kept on asking on the ground with other people, have you got the draft agreement? And they kept saying, nope, we haven't seen it. No, we haven't seen it. No, we haven't seen it. But from a note, one thing people know about me is I don't follow blindly. If my leaders are going blindly, I will break ranks. I'm not going to follow Fabakary Tombong blindly. I'll not follow President Jammeh blindly. Sometimes I keep saying, I wish I knew what was going on in Gambia by 2010, 2011. All right? Maybe history could have been different. You can't change what's predestined. But God always says, make an effort and he'll bless the effort. All right? So if I was involved with President Jammeh and I worked with him back in 2010, 2011, who knows, things might have been different. But everything happens for a reason. All right?
Yeah.
So
this is a journey you guys will have to
believe it or not, President Jammeh still got fire in him when it comes to Gambia and its future. He's got fire in him.
Which brings me to my last question. And before I say that, I will thank you once again for joining us. This is Lamin Tamba from, he is part of the APRC Breakaway Alliance. So they are the big...
He did say that the only media house he'll have an interview with, because I can tell you this now, is no longer a secret. CNN wanted to interview him. Al Jazeera wanted to interview him. Reuters wanted to interview him. I still got contacts for all of them. Many media houses, TPN is a Sierra Leonean but American-based media house. BBC wanted to interview him, right? And I got the information to him. And he said the only media house that he'll give a first interview to is a Gambian media house or media house affiliated with the Gambia. And they have to go by terms that they agreed with before the interview. Whatever he said, you cannot censor it. All right?
Correct.
He wants the interview to be raw, to be exactly what he thinks or exactly what he's experienced. He doesn't want somebody to twist it and turn it. So if you pre-agree and sign a contract and say, whatever he says, I'm going to play it raw, whether people like it or not, that's what it is, then he'll grant an interview. But he was not in a position to have that interview. So you never know. You never know. He might come to the chamber, he might go to the contract. But
the beauty of the chamber,
that's what he said.
The beauty of the chamber is that we are live. There's nothing that we can censor from this. It's not pre-recorded. It's nothing. And again, it will be a great pleasure for us because we are, again, the young people that he inspired. We are all Yaya Jammeh's Jamano. They call us Yaya Jammeh's kids. We all, we landed during his time. We went to school during his time and stuff like that. So it would be a great pleasure to have that opportunity again to talk to him. Because
let me warn you before you go. When Yaya Jammeh talks, the servers get burnt. All right.
You know what? Let's break a record.
When he spoke on the 15th of October, do you know this is actually true? When he spoke on 15th October 2021 in Kanilai, Gambian servers went down.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's break a record.
You want to break the internet?
Let's break the internet. Let's break TikTok. Let's bring TikTok down. If the president comes here and speak to Gambians, it will be a great pleasure, and he will be a great service. He will do a great service to us, and he will do a great service to young Gambians. We're independent. We're not affiliated. Myself, I always emphasize that the chamber is not affiliated with any political party, and it's not an avenue for politics. It is an avenue for intellectual discussion, enlightenment, and also try to create solution on how we can better develop the Gambia.
That's extortion.
This is why
and right
the
now,
chamber is here.
right now, the chamber is doing exactly what all opposition parties should do.
You're clever, Noah.
We have to have dialogue. We have to sit one place. We have to look at Gambia's interest.
You want to know the truth about
And then some things we cannot forget, but we can forgive. All right? So the chamber is a good platform. Since the other day, my sister introduced me to it. I said, yeah, I'll come to the program.
Come see me whenever you're
I don't mind. I can come to any Gambian platform as long as we're talking about national interest. Yeah? And then we have to have dialogue. With dialogue, the tempers will calm down.
Tuesday afternoon.
The anger that was there before will calm down. We'll begin to see the bigger picture. Right now, we are all these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. To make that picture of that puzzle, the jigsaw look really strong, vivid, formidable, unseat Adama Barrow, it'll be difficult under the current political parties on the ground and leaders on the ground to defeat Adama Barrow at the polls. All right? He can repeat exactly what he did in 2021, and the Supreme Court might actually repeat what they did in 2021 and will never ever get out of this trap. Right now, we are at that level. You see the money that
Hello, Noah.
is it the EU giving to Gambia government again, or was it IMF?
Cross-eyed too.
That will take us to about nearly $128 billion is in debt. They say in the West there's no such thing as free lunch. When IMF is giving you money, it's not free. They're not
Absolutely
giving you
not.
money for free.
You're not staying.
We will go to 130 billion debt. You know how many times that is of our GDP? Several million above our GDP. Any economy at that state is considered bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah? So we need to start talking. Barrow is not the solution until we see the back of Barrow. All this rampant corruption we're seeing every day, all the failure of our medical services, the failure of our schools, the failures of our tourism, the failures of our sovereign wealth in other areas like fisheries, agriculture, cashew trade. You might as well, in fact, our seaport, you know, people go to Dakar now and then travel by land, right?
Yeah.
Our airport is, I think, that scandal that we had in December could have been undermined deliberately by Senegal because they supply us electricity now. We've lost our total independence in terms of energy. So they might undermine our airports for flights to divert to Senegal and then people travel by land to Gambia. All right?
Correct. Yeah.
Our oil that is suddenly disappeared. 825 million barrels from Bambo or Samo, and 325 million barrels a year from Samo or Bambo. One of them is 825 million. One is 355 million, something like that. All right? Suddenly, they said we can't find oil in Gambia anymore. Brother,
Yeah, there is a lot of things.
we are in the middle of that oil basin, that underground basin from Guinea-Bissau to Mauritania. We are in the middle.
What do you think about that, Mom?
So
And we
property
don't have
number
oil.
two, property number 2, property number 4, property number 6, property number 8. Where property number 2? They all share the same underground water supply, all right, to our houses, right? So your house, you are number 2, I'm number 4, Gambia is number 4, number 2 is Guinea-Bissau, Gambia is number 4, Senegal is number 6, Mauritania is number 8. Guinea-Bissau is getting their water supply to their house, okay? They're number 2. Gambia is number 4, is saying, oh, I can't see water in my pipe, the same pipe. Senegal at number 6 is saying, oh, are we getting our water all right? So where does the water go between number 2 and number 6, skipping number 4?
There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And this is why I said, would President Jammeh be keen to join us? Again, legacy media is dead. You see what happened in the United States. The Democrats, they have the legacy media. But TikTok is what elected Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, that's why they're banning. The Democrats wanted to ban Donald Trump.
So
the Democrats wanted to ban TikTok.
So this is an opportunity for African as well as even Gambia. Let's say we're talking about Gambia right now. This is an opportunity for Gambian politicians to get out of their shell, to get out of those big microphones and those gilly-gillies and vans,
Embrace the young generation. This is why I'm confident if we get young people coming up in Gambian politics in 2026, we can embarrass Adama Barrow if we pick. They don't necessarily have to be young, but they need to be connecting with the online voters. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
They need to connect with online voters, and that's key. For me personally, I still see signs of people listening to each other anymore. People are not angry with APRC anymore. Many APRs are not angry with DOI or UDP anymore. Everybody's crying in Gambia now, including NPP supporters. And NPP supporters are actually resigning because of what's happening in Gambia right now. Yeah? Some of them. Yeah.
Sabi, I'm gonna close nga. Am I going to
yeah, I'm done. You
last
can take
one.
over and have people come up. Yeah.
Last one. Lamin, bala ninyi di request. If you allow us, do you permit people to come? You ask some of the questions. If you have time.
I don't mind. Yeah, why not?
Okay, bala
We can go question and answer for 30 minutes. Then I'll go and watch Match of the Day.
Okay, legi man lima lache moi.
Yeah.
In regard to the elections and how Gambians sometimes they come and start ranting based on certain things. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. In 2016, Bala the coalition Mel Hamga Yangi Yakamti in 2016, when people were trying to
I don't lie against Barrow. That's the difference. This guy is saying I'm doing the same against Barrow. You will not find one lie that I've spoken against Adama Barrow. Not
one. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's fine. You will not find one of those. So there's a difference between genuine opposition and lying deliberately, knowing that you're lying. So this guy writing saying I'm doing opposition against Barrow, that's normal. You will not find one place where I said Barrow went and killed a cat. Barrow said what they were doing to get to power, okay? You will not find one instance where I say Barrow wants to sacrifice 100 virgins or 100 babies, or Barrow went and killed somebody. No. Barrow's government has overseen the killing of people in Kanilai, in Faraba, children, and different places, medical service. But I have never said Barrow is the one that individually went and killed a person. So that's a difference. So some people who are lying and saying, oh, Jammeh wanted to sacrifice 100 virgins, or wanted to sacrifice 100 babies. They knew what they were doing. They were lying. Yeah? They even said they got a lady to call over a radio program and said, Jammeh raped me, Jammeh did that. It turned out that lady was a host. It wasn't even true. They're confessing themselves, not me saying it. So many things that were said. Because I was in the diaspora, I was totally removed from Gambian politics before Impasse 2016. The only people I knew in Gambian politics were Aissatou Njie Saidi and President Jammeh, period. I didn't even know who the cabinet ministers were. I didn't know who the generals were until I came in person. I saw so many things published against Jammeh. I said, oh my God, he must be evil. He did all of that? Okay, if that's the case, then he must go. Little did I know that these were the people who were spreading malicious communications to stain him. And those are the same people, when Jammeh left, who came out to confess that they were making up stories against him. They didn't know what the man was doing for the nation until he left. That's not me making it up. That we all hear those confessions now. All right?
Lamin, please save your energy. That guy
Lamin Tamba. Last question, and then I'm done for the day. Do you think any replacement is better than Barrow? The reason why I'm asking this question is we do not want that mistake of 2016 to happen.
Exactly.
Just to change a head of state, we have to get anything.
Yeah.
Because if you see ADA's joy for certain things, people are trying to, even people who were against former President Jammeh are saying that he was better than this president. So why not the coalition and the opposition, people who want to rule the country, to see that replacing Adama Barrow is not the problem, but we need to replace him with the right president. They could just replace him just for him to go. We don't want the same mistake happen on 2016.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. We're not going to change Barrow for Barrow's sake. In Halifa Salah's words, he said, when he warned that Adama Barrow wasn't ready for the job, they said, Hani Wulole Fisiaya Jamet. Yeah? That kind of mistake we must not make again. We learn from it. Again, earlier, Lumawahon Moy, Hejna Yala Monyu Indil Adama Barrow, so that we learn our lessons. We don't make the same mistakes again. All right? We don't want, but at the moment, most of the candidates that are leading political parties are better than Adama Barrow anyway. What we cannot do get somebody come from nowhere, from the left field, blindsided, somebody we never knew. Bete, nobody has published Adama Barrow's high school certificate. We don't even know whether he went to high school to start with, or whether he graduated from high school. Musumaji's certificate, with all the leaks that we've seen, we haven't seen the certificates of Adama Barrow. We haven't seen the list of people who bought the properties of President Jammeh or were given the properties of President Jammeh free. So what we cannot do is go to another individual who is a proper sellout. But how poor does somebody have to be a sellout as bad as Adama Barrow? We have to make sure this person has got some level of education.
That's my mother's handwriting.
Or this person has got some experience of public administration. And this person is probably not hungry, not that poor, not angry, can go to power. Their prime purpose is to take Gambia from D to E to F to G, whatever. They're not in there to enrich themselves. Entrenchment we will never know, because as Shakespeare says, there's no art to find the mind's construction on the face. You just have to look at the person's track record of activism, standing up for people even when they're going to lose their position, standing up for people even when it was not favorable, standing up for people even when they're insulting them. That's the type of person we need as a leader, because we don't want a leader that comes, oh, next minute they're comfortable with the state house luxuries that come with it. We want a leader who will surprise the people and go and meet the farmers. A leader who will surprise the people and go and meet the contractors on the road. A leader who will surprise people and go through the files of all these allegations and things that are happening to Gambian people, talk to Gambian people on a personal level, know what the Gambian people are suffering. Something that Adama Barrow never does. He's never visited the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, except when his government shot people at Faraba and injured them. He didn't go there, despite the fact that Adama Barrow said he's the most informed person on Gambian soil. 10 meters away from his back door, it is Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. Never carried out a surprise visit there. Never carried out a surprise visit to Nawek. Never carried out a surprise visit to GRA. Never carried out a surprise visit to anywhere else. But when his friends' businesses get burnt, like that car factory in Carnifin that caught fire, he went there to visit them. When his friend in Congo called him, he went there to visit them. All right? This guy, you have to be extremely poor to do worse than him. But we cannot allow somebody who cannot prove their academic track record, who cannot prove their administration credentials. Even if you run a unit or a section, it's fine. You looked after people, you looked after a budget, you know how public administration works. Barrow didn't have any of that opportunity. If you were from the army, it's good. You know how the state security works, you know how security works. If you're from the top police echelon, you know how security works, you know how the state worked. All of that is, they don't have to be from UN or Harvard or from other university. They just have to have experience of knowing the animal that public administration is. Back it up with academic records, preferentially. It's not absolutely essential, but if you have academic record and you got experience, that's all we need right now. You cannot get worse than Adama Barrow. If anybody comes out of the current party leaders in the Gambia and become worse than Adama Barrow, then you're truly dead. Well and truly dead. So we cannot make that mistake. Not everybody's better than Adama Barrow. But if you go and get Mansa Sumare, who wanted to run for West Coast chairman position, and you put him in State House, if you want to put Mansa Sumare in State House, oh, God. You know what? I'm saying,
Lamin,
but it can happen. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here today. Interesting discourse. Bulfale Guy NPP Sisuf, they are keyboard warriors. Duñ musa execute the challenge. So ñooñu bu leen faale. So xam nga rek foog ma gaaruwaale. Now my question to you is, all these evidences that you have against Bartam Bedu and the other people, ne lii lañ def, lii lañ def, is the APRC willing to take legal actions so that you can rectify these things?
100%. 100%. And if, let's suppose, I'm giving you an example. I'm not saying I'll be the APRC or UDP flag bearer or DOE flag bearer, all right? But let's suppose I'm in a takeover from Adama Barrow in 2026. I'll tell you what's going to change. The attitude of public service to the taxpayers is going to change completely. Totally. And number two, legality will be observed as far as I can implement it to the letter. So one thing that's going to happen, just because Adam Barrow violated the constitutions of set commissions doesn't mean I'm going to violate the constitution. Amendments will be made to the constitution to ensure nobody is above the law. Okay, if I took action in the interest of the state and you want to bring legal action to me, you will fail. But there would be no opportunity for me to take interpersonal measures against individuals in the Gambia and get away with it. That will change. What I'll do, I will set up commissions, but those commissions will not be dishing out favors to people like Male Salah to give them hotels to go and have commission and pay him every day that the commission sat at the hotel. We have got enough government departments. We have got enough law courts, law houses. I'll set commissions that cost next to nothing. There'll be government civil servants, lawyers and judges who are already being paid by Gambia government to investigate every single asset that was disposed of under Batambedo and Dawda Jallow. That's going to happen. I will set another commission to investigate all allegations of crime that took place between... Another commission to investigate all allegations of crime that took place... that took place between 1994 and 2026. And the people in charge of it would have had no conflict with President Jammeh or wouldn't have worked closely with President Jammeh. The people who will be in charge of it will have no beef with Adama Barrow or wouldn't have worked closely to Adama Barrow. Simple illegality will not happen when you're setting up commissions like this. So APARC will investigate it to the T and will ensure every misappropriation of assets that belong to Gambian taxpayers is redressed. It will be fully addressed, and every single butut that we lost out because of Batambedo and Dawda Jallow, those pennies will be recovered for the benefit of public services in the Gambia. That's going to happen. Millennial, that's going to be implemented. If I'm involved, I'm alive and kicking, and I'm the one leading, or I have an influence in the APRC administration, those things will be done, and they will not cost. The Commission of Inquiry will not cost 100 million. The TRRC will not cost 100 million. A constitutional review commission will not cost 100 million. These are people who are working at AG chambers who will be tasked with these responsibilities, and they wouldn't have any prior dealings with the government of Adama Barrow or the government of President Jammeh. Let's correct our state. You do not have to like somebody. You see the difference between me and people? When UDP do fundraisers, when they did fundraisers in the past to send their members to overseas treatment because they said President Jammeh's government tortured them, I was donating to their GoFundMe campaign so that they can send their members to training, because for me, I only see UDP when it's political season campaign. I don't see UDP members as enemies. I see them as my brothers, my sisters, my compatriots. So if I can put $20 or £20 to support Nogoyai's treatment in Turkey, I'll put it. If I put it in Sandeng's trust fund, I'll put it. If I can put it in Yajame's trust fund, I'll put it. If I can put it in somebody else's pot to assist them, one way or the other, I'll do it. I don't care. But when it comes to partisan politics, election season, I am fiercely partisan to APRC's course. But when it comes to welfare, when it comes to legality, if you arrest Ibrahim Adiba illegally, I'll stand up for him. If you arrest Rambo Jata illegally, I'll stand up for him. If you arrest Fabakar Tombon Jata today, even given our differences, I'll defend him. If he's committed a crime, I'll not defend him. I always said, I am defending APRC and President Jammeh's fantastic development record. I'm not defending the allegations. The allegations are allegations. If it turns out President Jammeh was definitely aware of what was going on and he did nothing about it, I will not defend him. But when you have somebody who actually picked up a gun to go and kill President Jammeh, and then he was crossed by President Jammeh's security guards, you cannot then come around to me and say, oh, that person is innocent. They should not have crossed him in the gun battle. All right?
can honestly
So
say
those
having you
things
as a boyfriend would
remain
never-
allegations. I am not saying, it was right for President Jammeh's security services to shoot somebody and kill them because they wanted to attack status. No.
You're an
I
asshole.
never use that kind of language at all. My politics is totally different. When it comes to welfare of an individual,
Listen,
the love of our
you
nation,
love Noah?
I don't see partisanship. Party doesn't matter to me. I'll fight for a UDP guy, I'll fight for a DOI guy, I'll fight for an NPP guy, I'll fight for anybody as long as their rights are being violated, I'll stand up for them. All right? When they arrested or called by Sankare to questioning in Gambia last year, I stood up for him. I said, let them free the guy. What he said about Sidinja or somebody else is probably true. If they're not happy, what he said is a civil matter. Take by Sankare to court.
Yes.
And Gambia police force tend to confuse civil and criminal matters.
Where's champagne?
If you call somebody because they owe somebody $100,000, it's not a criminal matter. You don't arrest the person. Sue the person to court. Let them go to the civil courts and pay up. Or if they lose the case, they pay the $100,000. If it turns out they didn't owe the other person $100,000, then they don't have $100,000 to pay back. All right? So yes, millennial RN, Batamidu, Dauda Jallo, and everyone else who worked at AG, Minister of Justice. And you have to also remember, Batamidu first worked with Augustus Prom, as an administrator. Then when he probably found out Augustus Prom is not going to be a bendy guy, he ditched Augustus Prom and went for Alpha Capital as the administrator who was selling, disposing of, or managing the assets of President Jammeh. So both of them, Augustus Prom, Alpha Capital, will be central to the investigation that we're going to have regarding the Jana Commission. Thank you very much.
Legi ñu may Seku you can comment bala kii di ñëw num tudati.
Thank you, Papulo. Great interview. My comrade Lamin, my comrade in the we used to have a lot of banters. My brother Lamin, thank you, and thank you for being here. I have my mouth is full, but I can't say all what I want to say. I'm just here to make a comment and a question. First of all, the comment I have is you made a revelation here that UDP did reach out to APRC in 2020. Even though UDP, as I'm not privy to that. At my level, I'm not privy to that. I will just say that clearly. But our party has actually refuted that. So it's your word against UDP's word, and we haven't seen. Like, people are say who is always bringing the issue of evidence. I'm evidence-related based guy. There's nothing out. There's no script out there. So let's leave that to the general public who to trust. Okay. So that's one comment. The other thing that I want to say is. Obviously, I think a question was asked about what Jammeh, does Jammeh have any regrets? You said no regret per se, specifically. But what about the issue of junglers?
What was that moment?
About the issue of the jungler. Yes, there is allegation. It came up in the TRRC. We saw witnesses, supposed junglers who confessed that they were sent by Jammeh, and even though these things are allegations, I agree with you, the allegations, but now we have seen ECOWAS coming up with a special tribunal that will be set up. So what's your reaction to that? And the fact that Yahya Jammeh is not, Yahya Jammeh can still come to the country. You said he's a citizen. There's no, that's irrefutable. He's a citizen, but no one is stopping Jammeh from coming to the Gambia. What is stopping Yahya Jammeh from coming to the Gambia?
Okay, so what's stopping Yahya Jammeh from coming to Gambia? Let me start with that first because that's simple. It's Yahya Jammeh stopping Yahya Jammeh coming from Gambia, right? It's not a complicated matter. If Yahya Jammeh, as he said before, in fact, he said it publicly in one of the rallies that Mama Kande held in 2021. He said his return has got nothing to do with the current government in the Gambia. All right? When a time arrives, a time of his choosing, he will return. Now, regarding the junglers, yes, we've all seen, I've watched some clips of TRRC. They came out, a lot of them said they had executive order to carry out some orders, to take some action, whatever they said it was. And we also heard ESA file as one or two of them, whether they did actually have direct communication with President Jammeh when he was giving them executive orders, and they said no. Somebody told them, who told them, and then they went and implemented the executive orders. So as far as I'm concerned, yes, he will be aware that the junglers existed.
Is coming up next week.
But some of the crimes that they confessed to or said they did, those crimes I spoke about before. In terms of criminal law, what happened at TRRC could be used as evidence, or if they want to claw it back like Sana Sabali did, because Sana Sabali's first day's testament and the second day testament were totally different. It can be used against them. It could be used in their favor. We don't know. Again, it's the quantity of the unknown. Only Jammeh can say, okay, I was aware of this. I set up panels. We heard Lamin Tamba and others at TRRC saying these panels were actually set up to investigate most of these allegations that they were alleging against the former government. And the panel's recommendations were implemented or not implemented. We don't know if they were implemented in full, including the shooting of students in the year 2000. Whatever the recommendations are, whether they were implemented in full, I don't know. Regarding UDP meeting APRC, my executive told me they had meetings with UDP, some UDP executive members. They had meetings with some GDC executive members, and they had meetings with NPP. In fact, at some point, the executive was more in favor of aligning with UDP. I can tell you that now. As you said, Serili, you know me very well. In fact, you and I were the first people to have this push and pull on iAfrica since 2017. Mm-hmm. I don't have physical evidence to say, yep, these are UDP people who want to meet APRC executive. I haven't got video or audio to say this is what we discussed with the UDP. So it's hearsay. Just like the TRC confessions. Executive told me, we're going to meet UDP XYZ. What do you think about that? I said, yeah, why not? Go and listen to what UDP have to say.
But if you permit me, I know maybe I'm entitled to only ask one question, but I just want to make a follow-up. I apologize. I just want to piggyback on the point that you mentioned earlier about you are aware that the junglers existed, but you are a legal-minded person yourself. You know that under the Constitution of the Gambia, the only instruments that we have is the army, the police, the security services. So that extra layer of junglers, don't you think that was actually illegal for Jammeh to have?
No, it depends, because people call it junglers doesn't mean that the army, you know, the Gambia army actually has some sections as well called the Quick Response Force.
Yes.
All right, so people call it junglers. That's a nickname as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
If you create a certain section of the police force to deal with certain crimes, or to do some patrols, or to carry out specific tasks, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a different branch of security you created. So the Gambia Police Force can have paramilitary, they can have quick response, they can have the border patrol. The army does the same. So the junglers for me is just a group of individuals that were put together to carry out specific tasks. That's what we need to find out, whether those tasks that they carried out were within the parameters of our constitution. So now, in our Gambian constitution, I cannot remember the section, I should be able to find the section which says the state can take commensurate action.
No fucking way. And I don't have a car. Ask for one from Miko. I'll pass.
I cannot remember seeing a document anywhere that said a different force was created in the Gambia that operated away from the police or the army, or they had their own battalions and things like that. The junglers, as far as I understand it, are some sections of the army or state guards or police that have been tasked to carry out certain functions. According to what I heard on the Lamin Tamba's house, Bantabakacha, they were tasked with patrolling the Gambian border and dealing with threats that they deem to be threats coming to the Gambia. I don't think if it's a different entity that they've gone through the right format of creating it. But I don't think they were a separate entity from the army or from the police. That's my belief. And I haven't seen any document to prove that a separate entity was created which had totally independent, independent institution like the police. Because the police have their own institution. The army has, even the army, we're calling state guards battalion, but they're still the army. The junglers, QRF is still the army. So for me personally, he is aware that there's a group called the junglers. Whether he gave them the mandate to carry out some of the functions, whether it was part of the pre-planning, part of the act, or part of the cover-up after, I don't know that. That's the question we're waiting to be answered one day. But at the moment, we don't know. Regarding the special tribunal, as it stands right now, it'll be illegal to institute the tribunal in the Gambia without amending the constitution. Again, Seusei, this is a separate institution, all right, that's been set up contrary to our constitution. So you mentioned the constitution here and the junglers. If the junglers were separate without looking at our security arrangements, it'll be illegal. If the special tribunal is going to be instituted, which is not currently named in our constitution, it'll be illegal. The president can set a tribunal to investigate certain things, as long as that tribunal is investigating anyone below the vice president. So you can investigate the ministers, you can set up a tribunal to investigate GRA, you can set up, that is not violating our constitution. But if you're setting up a tribunal to try Jammeh or to try Barrow or to posthumously try President Jawara, you will be violating the 1997 constitution of the Gambia. So the tribunal, as far as I'm concerned, ECOWAS has got no power. There is no framework in the Gambia, legal framework, to set up the ECOWAS tribunal in the Gambia. They are going to violate our statutes to start with, just like they did with Jana Commission, same way they did with TRRC. They're going to do it because the power is in their hands right now, and they can do whatever they want. But one day, all these things, all the chickens will come home to roost. That one day, hopefully, lands in the hands of a Gambian citizen who actually believes in the rule of law. It's not going to punish Hussein Odabo because they don't like them. It's not going to punish Halifa Sallah because they don't like them. It's not going to punish Yahya Jammeh because they don't like them. They're going to look at what the laws say and implement them to the letter, because the laws are written to administer our public activities. If we then put in our personal preferences, it's no longer a public service. Yeah?
Thanks, Lamin. Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bapulo.
Thank you, Mr. Tamba. Bangladesh, you got like 10 minutes or something. Phil?
Are you okay? Yeah, just chilling.
Buñ jël request, guys, please, because for many, it's when you don't want to have the opportunity to ask Mr. Tamba, because he's giving us, to be honest, enough time, which we appreciate. When 10 o'clock, dafa am lu mo dem def it, please.
Okay, my question to Mr. Tamba. Man laa nuyu di leen nuyu yéen ñëpp, you know, te rafetlu information bi nga xam ne joxe nga ko fi as a Gambian, because this is all what we needed at the end of the day. Yeah. Thank you. So this is all what we needed at the end of the day. Thank you so much. You too. Man li ma laa laaj rek moo nekk as a Gambian, and this situation that we're facing right now, information ni ngay jóge fu nekk. Because tey li nga wax gis nga xel mooy doomi aadama, man loolu rek laa dee wax aaga daf moo ko moom, because yow li ci wax yëpp soo toogee ba xoolaat ko di nga gis lot of sense is out of the nonsense, you know. But man, my main question mooy dafa am benn waxtaan moo doon waxtaan ak somebody from NPP, but he told moto yaa nga wax ni tey jaay nañ ko moom moto yooyu they are in the state house still now. So man, I don't see no proof. I don't. Okay, go ahead. That was my question.
Okay, so moto yaa ngi State House. So Yahya Jammeh mu ngi amoon about 2 or 3 Rolls Royces, right? And for Rolls Royces yooyu, then Gambia's names, he put them VIP for transporting VIP. Moto yooyu noonu ñu ngi toog State House. Lu tax ñu dem jël 12 billion Gambian dollars alali Gambian yi jël alal boobu noonu jox ko Mamad Jah for the OIC summit. Te ñu ngi amee ay VIP transportation. Sometimes nit ki su la waxee dara da ngaa toog xalaat Barrow mu ngi nii doon 100 people pour campagne am 2021. Lu tax usine moto yooyu noonu lu tax ñuy dem di jël xaalis di ko jëndee xaalis yi taxpayers yi pour di ko jox suñu members of parliament. Lu tax jëluñ moto yooyu noonu ñu leen ok members of parliament moto yaa ngi ne ñu ngi toog State House. Instead of ñuy dem di leb xaalis feneen baa ngi jox leen moto yi nii, then the money bi nga daa fay mu dem to the state rather than going to a private dealer outside. So sometimes nit ki su la waxee dara nga toog xalaat nga enquête ko you investigate it think about it how can these people be there Adama Barrow mu ngi need moto for 2021 campaign using moto yooyu noonu Adama Barrow mu ngi need moto pour jokko MPC using moto yooyu noonu Adama Barrow mu ngi need moto pour OIC summit needul moto yooyu noonu mu ngi need lose nañ 10 to 12 billion on OIC transportation rek
exactly
MPC ñu ngi dem private dealer pour jël moto lu tax jël loo moto yooyu noonu nga ne MP ok am na yeneen moto yu président Jammeh bàyyi fii balaa ñu jël moto yi nii di ko jox Tariq Motors or something else foog leen ne ñu jox leen moto yi nii each of the MPs then xaalis bii nii ngeen fay ko mu dem to the public coffers yeah
comme li nga wax ne man loolu laa dee wax guy all the time but looking at it in another way around mooy the government I think I had they budget another 80 million Gambian dollars just for all the brand new cars I don't know if that is true or not which means comme li nga doon wax rek xalaat bi soo ko xalaataatee tey mu ngi laa wanal ne la this government de comme sa xalaatukaay la gars yi dee jaxase because of tey li nga wax ni idea la waaye man bi ma déggee ni government bi dañ tegaat another money for another cars whereby these cars were bought last year literally amangut sa 1 year su fekkee ni am naa
mane soobee yaa mayal keneen balaa kii di dem nga doole pare
no question la de dañoo waxtaan fii ga xarama laaj li ma pare nag yow tamit so understand nga so man the confusion part foofu la nekk they have brand new cars that they bought not long ago from the OIC but now they have a budget of 80 million Gambian dollars just to spend it on another cars
small brother, if you look at it, because most of the civil arguments, they know non balance of probability, right? So yangi ame I 100 moto President Jammeh. Actually, nyune moto nyatala amon 400 and something moto. Yangi ame 400 motors. Sohlu lo halis moto pour import pour joko MPC. Sohlu lo halis pour import moto pour government department si. Sohlu lo halis pour jo police. Yangi fatel ko amon na benen jamano police amunyu won moto. They had to buy some vehicles to give it to the police. Pour ñu mëna def sen patrolling. Yeah? So ana moto yoy non no ko denché fofu fo wa. Pour moto yi hold fofu non state. Let them get rusty and they break down to pieces. Is that what they're doing? State House ban façon yi ré la am before xamné dang fa take 400 vehicles ken jisuko. Ban part of State House like I'm 400 motor because man them am people in State House right now they can send me information that 400 and something motor you know ñu ngi State House beté so legi suñu déglu ñi ñuy wax yeneen da nga seet nit ki kuy wax lolu nga xol ko bu jak nga xalaat look at this person is telling me this information where in State House are you going to park 421 vehicles and people not see it or see them amut. Those vehicles have gone. I can tell you this. Yeah, vehicles have gone. I know one of them, Range Rover Zainab Jammeh Dawal, gave it to their daughter, and the daughter was working at GRA.
Thanks. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, Range Rover Zainab Dawal. Somebody asked before, President Jammeh, the salary when he was in power, salary be alone will give him that money. Money, no. If you calculate the salary alone and the allowances President Jammeh amon. But when you're a president, even when you're not a president, you're in a position of influence. If I am kula
you never actually did.
Digra kula like munela amal $100,000. Voila. So calculate President Jammeh nag yoy non yene nagambi it went up to about $100 million. So if he was farming and getting that level of nag for 10-15 years, 100 million times 10 is $1 billion. $1 billion is so change into dollars.
I knew you didn't.
It's about $8-10 million maybe. Yeah? Or maybe it's more than that. So he could have bought that Potomac house from clean money. You never know. Nekuma they justify alel bum am. I'm just giving you examples. But if you calculate salary allowance as a head of state alone, that's not enough for him to live the life he lived. Gender moto yum jendon, kid bum jendon America, no. But the position sometimes that am gratuity danko wara dugal to into the consolidated fund. So gratuity moilan come President Jammeh bum Indian peace back to Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau bu ñu waxé né President Jammeh sa liggéey bi rafet na mu ngi ni Guinea-Bissau amat na democracy. So ñu la may $1 million. $1 million bobu peace bi daf ko indi in the name of Gambia. daf ko wara dugal si aranke si taxpayers. It's not his money. Why maybe a year later Nino Vera mu ñëw mëna President Jammeh say if mo ma neex rek ma nga la $1 million. Lolu xaalisam la du xaalis state because he was not given that money because of the work he done on behalf of the Gambia. So it's different. Gratuity, come man, tay. I work with multi-billion-pound industries. High speed too. Man, they manage some contract. I manage the staff that oversee those contracts. Thames Tideway, man, Marco they manage. Kensington Olympia, man, Marco they manage. Al Scott, man, Marco they manage. Multi-billion-pound companies, man, Male they oversee in terms of regulatory functions. Elec, some of them have on the inspection. Whether you know it or not, then you do your parks like lots of pens, lots of stuff. Puru baleko. Dama ko de yo buraxi office be majoko gratuity declaration officer. Why one day tay some of them in Central London on a Saturday. Mange them party. One of their employees says, "Oh, Lamin, save more money. Mangla me £1,000. Jela, sabosla." That's got nothing to do with work. Daf ma meet silige kabi. Why we met somewhere outside of work? Manema save more money. Mangla me 1,000. That's not gratuity. You don't have to declare that. You understand? But moving from that, you want the motor yangi state house, motor in for Sumawaji. I used to get real-time feed at State House up to 2021. You madam your real-time feed at State House, you joge APRC them NPP. So legi line bobu the fat dog. Still, I get very good intelligence. Why? It wasn't like it was before 2021. Because you know the major real-time intelligence time bobu, no defect from APRC them NPP. ñooñu suma yef neexut leen temps boobu noonu waaye ñu bari ñu bàyyi woon APRC dem NPP ñu ngee dem si waat ñu maa contact ne ma Lamin yoo kenn yaa mun a reconcile APRC defal everything pour indiwaat APRC into one. So we are talking underground behind the scenes. Dina am xam nga ban bés la APRC di ñëw nekkaat benn party but dina am inshallah si kanam tuuti rek APRC dina nekkaat one strong party. So they ñëpp Gambia lañ gis will leave NPP ñu nekkaat benn party and look at the way forward for Gambia. Jërëjëf.
Get out of here. Nick, calm down. Whatever you want to tell me.
Thank you, Mr. Tamba. Legi ki DEA ñëwal please ñu may kii tamit nañ ko def brief please because it's 10 o'clock already.
Just the two of us.
It's either all of us or none of us.
DEA, are you there? I said to Conte.
About it here. Nick, you have to know I didn't leave.
Somebody is asking why is Gambia obsessed with coalition? No, it's not just Gambia. Most democracies then they have coalition. Even Donald Trump.
Legi Lamin.
Somebody came from the Democrats like Robert Jr., F. Kennedy Jr., left the Democrats and went and joined Donald Trump. In the United Kingdom, coalition amon nafi. So most countries these days, that they're difficult to be a candidate come from the opposition and win outright. It's very difficult. So Lolo Tani in need of coalition. It's not just Gambia. Coalition is happening everywhere in the world. Thank you. Bapulo, go ahead.
Lamin, this is the last one. Lady, thank we're gonna thank you, for Linga Nyofini, but I think I just have to thank you again. Last question, Bimoine. How does former President Jammeh feel? Sumuy dega how man that set on the TRRC or mu dega the accusation that the am ñum right. How does he has he ever spoke to you about that feeling of being accused that you've killed people?
Yeah, not case by case. Like I said, luma wahon earlier moy. President Jammeh Tay, the last 8 years has been a university. I'm not triple PhDs on Gambians than at any time bomb neck on power. Because just na ñoo xamne ñoo den def yef sironam te yeguko duñ ko daan wax. And those people, as soon as he left, they turned around against him. ñu do di ko jam paaka. So some of the things he himself is learning some of these things. He's finding them out himself. So it does. Do they want yefi or the reanteini or other things on specific case by case basis? Some of the stuff he's heard is news to him.
You helped her.
Yeah, Madega. But some of the stuff he knows because especially the Ghanaian migrant bini, because Momoko negotiate ak African Union, ak ECOWAS and UN, being jail compensation from Social Security and Housing Finance Funds, you compensate Ghanaians. So he knows those things. But many things Lumo Dega Tay or London Dega Tami Tiaras is news to him. Yeah, Madiga. So when things are news to him, he'll be shocked like every other Gambian person. But again,